Welcome to the American Heritage Museum again, and we're just wandering around with Sofilein, and we're just comparing tanks on the thickness and comfort scales, which is not quite what I had in mind when we started the day, but that seems to be where we have ended up. And so, at the epitome of the American comfort scale, it's outside of your normal frame of reference. I got it. I had to show the M1.
Yeah. This is your baby.
This is my baby. I did a video on this separately, and it's kind of like I just kind of glaze over, and it's kind of I really, really miss my tank, which is an it, not a her.
I respect that.
Going back to that.
Going back to it.
But M1A1, this is the only public display M1A1. I'm sure. I guess if you could drive to a base, you might be able to find one or two in a motor pool. This is the only one you'll be able to walk up to and. Pride of place here. The crew of this have come back. The commander, as you may have heard from other videos, was killed. This is out of service, the damage on the fenders and so on. And it is a Marine Corps tank. But I won't hold that against them. They're tankers. They're close enough. Similar level on the evolutionary scale as us CDAT. So there's Dino Tankers, DATs, and CDATs.
Okay.
A Dino Tanker is generally an M48 or an M60 tanker. A DAT, just a regular DAT, dumbass tanker, is my level. And you got a CDAT, is a computerized dumbass tanker, like M1A2. And then you got Jedi tankers, which are the M1A2 SEP guys.
Okay.
So I'm sort of in the middle of that scale. I was an M1 guy myself. But so things to note about the M1. What can we tell you about the M1? Firstly, the number 3 road wheel has a problem.
All right.
So if you look at the hub on that, I would not actually go driving that anytime soon. Just saying. Lovely shape. I mean, you can see the shot traps as they would be, but of course it's not. But I'm going to ask you, what country made this tank?
Well, you'd assume it would be American, but the tail is the Germans, right?
Which one?
The Germans, right?
The Germans made the gun.
Okay.
Who made the armor?
Who made the armor? Was it the British?
The British made the armor. Who made the machine, the coaxial machine gun?
The coaxial machine gun. That I don't know.
That's Belgium.
Belgium made the coaxial, okay.
As a crewman, I had a sidearm. Who made my sidearm?
Who did? Which was your sidearm?
It was a Beretta 9mm.
Okay, was that an American one?
Beretta?
Yeah, I don't know.
They're Italian. They're actually,
okay.
I think, the oldest continually operated private company in the world.
Really?
I believe so.
Okay.
I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. If it's not them, they're like one down.
Okay.
Who made the engine?
Would that have been us?
That was us.
All right, we got it.
That was the Americans. So we had the gas turbine engine. Third production tank to have a gas turbine engine. And where do you think I'm going with this?
Somewhere pretty hot.
It was hot. It snowed. It snowed on me in Iraq, actually. I'm sitting on patrol. I'm in Mosul, up in northern Iraq, and I'm watching snow fall down from the sky, kind of going, well, this was unexpected. But then again, so was training to arrive in Iraq. I was up in Yakima, Washington, which is on the far side of the Cascades, and
right.
That was January, and that's not Iraq weather. It made sense to somebody, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay, where else would I be going with this whole demonstration that we have a German gun, a British armor, and Italian sidearms, and Belgian machine guns, and Canadian fire control system? Power of teamwork, and the fact that tanks today are the same. I mean, realistically, what's more? Yeah, all these people arguing, what was the best tank in the world? I mean,
right.
Do you have an opinion as to what's the best tank in the world?
I really like to look at it with each, like you have generations of tanks and things that were trying to do different things. Like World War I tanks are trying to do different things.
Right.
They have different purposes than other things. And so the role of the tank has changed. And so to just say, what's the best tank ever made? You kind of have to look at what was each tank with its role. And there are some features that it's going to have that might have been the best of that class. And then some others that could have been improved upon with a different function or different design.
You're going in the right direction. But let's just keep it to the current generation of tank. Let's say out of M1, Challenger 2, Merkava, Type 10, K2, T90, or T14. Do we know what was the best tank in the world? Well,
these tanks are all too young for me, and I don't know too much about them, really.
Oh, you prefer older, more mature?
They have a little more character. Got a bit of season to them.
Well, the thing is, I don't think there's anything in it. It's down to the crew.
Okay.
Crew and ammunition. Because today, and again, this is a new generation tank. So all the other tanks that we've looked at, they're fundamentally the same thing. They're basic mechanical principles in operation. Nothing more complicated maybe than a fuel pump and the stabilizer system on the Sherman. But it's all mechanics.
Right.
This thing is half electronics.
Right.
And that's where your generational difference is, I think, that you're going. Yeah, you were quite correct on the rolls. So if you have a tank designed for one role, it is not going to look like a tank designed for another. So over there is a T-72.
Right.
It's a different shape of tank. It's designed for a different function. So, you know, even as you say, comparing the one to the other, you need to have that basis for comparison, and you don't have it.
Right. And even if you were to pit these two against each other, it would come down, like you said, to crew and to other technologies, of course.
To a lot, and the situation that's being used and so on. I mean,
Right.
in a one-on-one duel, this is like the modern version of the King Tiger versus the Sherman.
Right.
Yeah, one-on-one, I would place my money on the M1 over the T-72. But that's not the whole function. So, I mean, yeah, World War III, breaks out. This tank is firing from defended position. It runs back across a big, heavy motorway bridge, and they blow the bridge. And the Soviets have to build a new bridge. And, well, it's all faster to build a bridge for a 40-ton tank than it is for a 60-ton tank.
Right.
So immediately you see an advantage for the Soviet design for the purpose for which it was being used. But as I said, the main reason I brought you here was for the comfort rating.
Okay.
So I am now going to put you in the most comfortable seat of any tank ever made.
Oh boy, all right.
Mount up
All right.
and get in the driver's hole.
Sure.
It's so incongruous seeing somebody get in, they're wearing a blazer and proper trousers and so on.
This is enormously comfortable.
As Michael gets up onto the tank, woohoo, he's good. So is that or is that not the most comfortable tank seat you have ever been in?
This is the most comfortable tank seat I have ever been in.
And one of the problems we have actually is that on occasion the drivers will fall asleep.
Yes, that I could definitely see that being a real risk.
You can understand why.
It's an 11 out of 10 on the comfort rating.
It is way up there. Now,
My
granted,
M1 goes to 11.
I'm just that fraction too tall to fit in there properly, so I was always a little bit heavy on the brake and they didn't like me driving very much.
Okay.
But it's a slightly suspension on the seat, and you got nice T-bars there to drive, and I wonder if we can close the hatch at all. Or have they frozen this in
This
position?
is the part
as
where
well?
Sophie gets sealed inside the tank.
I think they've frozen this in position as well. Can you push up, I wonder? There should be a lever on the far side that you push down, and this should come up.
Is it this one?
Yeah.
Push down?
Try pulling that down.
I have little girl arms, but I don't think it's supposed to be pushed down. I have the upper arm strength of a fruit fly, but I'll give it two.
Will it go up?
It won't go anywhere. I think that's...
I think
Might be
they've jammed
pinned.
it in place,
Yeah.
damn it. Pity. But yeah, we'd close it up and you just drive lying down like that. And the driver is one of the happiest men in an M1.
This is the place to be.
Now, the other thing is, look how thick the frontal armor is in front of you.
Up
It's
in
what?
here,
This
yeah.
thick?
Yeah. But it's so angled.
Yeah, it's very angled. I mean, it's an 83-degree slope, as I recall. And you got fuel tanks to your left, fuel tanks to your right. You got the heater there as well.
It comes with a heater?
Oh, it comes with a very good heater when it
Golly.
works.
What about an air conditioner?
That, no.
Okay.
The latest ones come with a thermal management system, which it provides cool air for the computer systems, and you get whatever is left over. You get the exhaust at the back of your PC.
Fair enough.
But yeah, one of our biggest problems, as I say, is people falling asleep. So what you do is you carry a broomstick or something like a broom handle in the turret, and you poke through just over your shoulder. And
Oh,
you know, if
yeah.
the guy falls asleep, you poke him a few times. Then he, what are you doing? You were asleep. No, I wasn't. Yes, yeah, of course you were.
Right. So the question that, like, coming from all the tanks that we were just in, and sitting in various gunners or drivers positions here, so when the hatch is closed, how the hell do you see out of it?
Well, with the periscopes
all
that are
electronic
that
there?
are in the hatch door itself.
Wow.
So they, of course, I was trying to
Yeah,
get
we
it
had to
closed,
see it.
but I'm not quite sure why it's not closing right now. But anyway, there are the 3 periscopes in here, and that's how you see.
And that's how you just be looking through those, and it.
There was a move to use electronic cameras instead of the Mark I eyeball, and that is generally highly opposed by most tankers. Although some of the later designs are starting to go in that direction. I'm not sure, I'm not comfortable with it yet, but that's just me. All right, so the other place, of course, to have a look at is inside the turret.
All right.
So let's hop out and go in there.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so welcome to my humble abode, Shea Abrams, although we only ever called it the M1, M1 or tank for whatever reason, but the M2 we only ever called the Bradley. Again, I don't know why. So this is, as I say, how a tank should be designed as far as me. It's lots of room and you're comfortable of. But what's most important is, so you're sitting here now in a current generation tank, and you've sat in Shermans and Panthers and whatever else over the course of your time. I'm going to assume that you can generally figure out on a fundamental level how to operate this tank. I mean, you got the controls in front of you. What can you figure them out?
It's all very clear. This one's talking about gunner's control. So it would appear it would be some sort of control for the gunner.
It would be, but how does it work?
Right. So these levers come like this and like this, which one could assume might be traverse or elevation for the gun. Elevation and depression.
One could, yes.
Mm-hmm. And then this one talks about manual firing, so it looks like if some of your systems are down, you could perhaps pull this one.
Remember the M60?
Yep.
Crank it to the right.
You go this way.
It's the Master Blaster.
That's
exactly the same as the M60.
Cool.
And if you had to go to manual traverse and manual elevation?
That one's here.
All right, that's your elevation.
And you turn this one, and then where's our traverse one here?
Should be forward and to the right.
Forward and to the right. From here? Ah.
There you go.
So you would just turn this crank around.
Yes, there you go.
Like
And you actually are cranking the turret because the turret lock isn't on.
There we are. Look at that. Uh-oh.
All right, go back the other way. Just leave it flat. Okay, so now we got a couple of sights. So if you look to your front now, again, you're going to have you have two sights, and tell me if you see what the difference is between the two of them, how they're configured. You may not be able to see it.
Yeah, this one hasn't anything, but this one has the back end of that Sheridan in view.
Right, but without looking through them, just look at the configuration of the sights and tell me if you can see where there's a difference in them.
Okay. Well, this one has a measurement here. I don't know if this is something that you would control with your hands, or if this is something.
That's really just a focus.
Okay.
So where is the lens on the other end of that?
I would assume it's right next to the gun.
Correct. And so the one that you're looking at now, where is the lens for that?
It looks like it would go up through the top.
It does. And indeed, if you look back and up, you should see a window.
Yeah.
And that's your unmagnified, just general field of vision.
Okay.
So remember what I was talking about in the Sturmgeschütz, how you do an engagement.
Right.
So with these three sets of optics, how do you think you would run an engagement?
Right. So you wouldn't necessarily need to use this one if you're hold down or you're trying to get into position. You'd want to use this one.
If you turret down, actually.
Yeah. So you'd want to. You could use. If you have three different sights, you have this one, which I can't see out of this one.
Yeah, it's probably set for infrared right now.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah. So this one is the one that uses infrared.
One of those. I think that one there should be moved to clear, as I recall.
Yeah, that's right.
Sound clear?
Yep.
Oh, are the doghouse doors open? Yes, they are. Not quite sure offhand why it's focused in. Going into 3-mag. Anything?
Nope.
Okay, well, I guess I have to sit down and look at that for a few minutes, see why it's not going. It could just be you're just too up close and you're zoomed in at something black, like that wall directly in front of me.
Totally possible.
Which is also possibly it. Okay, so you scan around with your either Unity or this through the periscope.
Uh-huh.
Then the target is acquired. So gunner, saber, tank, and you lay on it, and then you would hit the laser button, which is the one on the thumb.
Okay, which is this one?
That would be the laser button.
Okay.
A range would come up. If the gunner and commander are happy with the range readout, that you know you got the right range, you then service the target. So then driver move out, or driver advance if you're me. Driver will move forward. How would you know that your gun is clear?
You'd have to look through here.
You'd look through that. Once you look through that, then you know you're clear. Now, here's the other thing. If you are in a position for a while, so let's say you know you're going to defend, and in half an hour, the evil red Soviet horde is going to come over the hill, and you are now in your defensive position. What are you doing for the next half hour?
Watching.
And? You're not just sitting there waiting, are you?
Well, one would hope not, but.
Okay, what else are you doing?
Listening, seeing if there's any other. I mean, you want to. Surely you're not the only tank out there.
You're not.
No, but you'd be ready to fire.
It's called battle position preparation. So what you're doing is, let's say in the middle of the engagement you get hit and your laser rangefinder gets knocked out. How do you know how far away something is?
Is there another system to use besides laser on this tank?
Not for effective ranging, but what if in that half hour before you start your fight,
You could bracket
you start ranging different things, and you realize that if I go out, that house over there is 1,800 meters away.
Right.
So if the tank is closer than that house, I know it's closer than 1,800 meters. Similarly, you're doing what you call a burn drill. You're driving forwards and backwards with the driver, and you're looking through your auxiliary sight, and when you see sky, and you know your gun is clear, you say stop. The driver is going to pay attention to where his tank is at the time that you say stop. So when the actual engagement is happening, in theory what should happen is the gunner shouldn't even need to check that his gun tube is clear. The driver will hit the brakes, at which point the gunner knows, okay,
It's clear.
it's clear to fire, and he'll surface the target. And then of course the driver will back out, or he should back out. I was talking to a German gunner. Apparently they don't teach berm drills. They just sit up there and they just keep shooting away till all the targets are dead. But anyway. So other controls, can you figure out what any of the other ones do up there, do you think?
What's our normal mode drift? It says we got what looks like for azimuth and for elevation here.
All right. So that is the stabilizer system. The gyroscopes sometimes need to be recalibrated, and that's how you recalibrate them. So when you hold in the Cadillacs, just like on the M60, to activate them, if there's a little bit of just slight drift left or right, it's like focusing the stabilizer, for lack of a better term. All right, big important one down underneath that.
Remember selecting your ammunition. Okay.
It's very simple. What are the 4 rounds you have there? Saber.
We have saber round, HEP, BH, and for heat.
BH.
Yeah.
Surprised for it. So I wonder if that's a 105 ballistic computer then, because HEP is not a round that the 120 fires. Interesting. Think about that. All right. So when I was in, we had staff and MPAT were the other 2 options.
Okay.
Different type of round. Of course, you got canister now as well. Underneath that, as I say, is a magnifier. And then on the right-hand side, you got your controls for the thermal imager, which is, of course, your primary night mode. But anyway, so as I say, this is a comfortable tank. Mike has already rated it an 11 on the camera scale. I definitely rate this a 10 on the comfort scale. So it's up to you now, Sophie, how you rate it on your thickness scale.
Well, I know very little about the armor, but when you talk about that 83-degree angle, just knowing trigonometric concepts, the tank is quite thick indeed.
Mike is barely keeping his face together here as the camera starts shaking with the humor. We do enjoy making these videos sometimes. We enjoy our job.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is really a distinct feature, like coming up to this tank and kind of looking at it.
And this is actually it's fairly rare that civilians will get into an A1.
Yeah.
They are just not ordinarily found in museums. And so we're quite thankful to AHM for letting us crawl around in there.
Yeah, that's incredible because you don't get to walk up and see it. You might see it from a distance or so, or it might be they're around, particularly if you're near any army bases. But to be able to get inside and to see and to kind of understand the workings and. Yeah.
All right, so we'll leave it at that. I'll just say that this ammo door back here, we almost took my arm off, but that is a story for a different day or a different video.
Okay.
So, all right, let's find another tank.
All right.